Look at her.
You go first.
I just did.
That's it?
She was good looking. And she was at the Christian bonfire. That tipped me off that she might just be a Christian.
Yeah, so we met in university at a Christian fellowship bonfire at Nipissing University. And he picked me up and asked me out.
Pretty much it.
And what attracted, I don't know.
She's got a good smile. And she played volleyball. Looks sporty. Still does.
And there aren't a lot of boys or men at Nipissing. It's 7-1 girls to guys. So there weren't too many options.
I was the best of the worst, I guess. Next.
We dated for 4 years. Most of it was like face-to-face. We went to university together, so saw each other almost every day. And then in the summers, we were a bit long distance, like 3 hours apart. We had a lot of fun dating. We had a lot of good Christian friends, a huge group of peers, some who were also dating and a lot who weren't. So kind of we hung out in groups a lot. Yeah, we just had a lot of fun, played a lot of sports, did intramurals. In some ways, they were some of the best years of our lives. I don't know, I guess these are too, but
They were fun.
they were really fun. We were really involved with our church. We led a youth group.
It was good. If possible, find a good friend or a good couple that's dating as well, and just get to know them as well. It's fun when you can date with another couple as well that you get along with and do lots of double dates and fun things like that. It just helps you guys, like helps us grow together, I found, as well as have some lasting friendships as well. A little bit more accountability as well there.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it gives you accountability and someone to ask, are you guys dealing with this? If you're having issues or struggles, it gives you someone to talk to. Not just peers, I think we also were blessed to have a really solid example in the youth pastor at our church at the time and his wife. They were about 10 years ahead of us in life, and they just really poured into us in those years, and were definitely go-to mentors for both of us. So that was really, really great at the time as well.
I think too, early on in our dating relationship, we set pretty clear boundaries, and we had them written down. Both of us wrote down our boundaries and just tucked them into our Bibles as well. So that was one thing that we kind of talked through, some stuff that we need to just lay out flat kind of as we started dating, and nothing too deep, but just a good starting ground that we could kind of always fall back onto if things were happening or issues arose between us. We could go back and just fall on that.
Yeah, we were very specific with physical boundaries and wrote them down. Some people maybe think that's too old school, but I think it was very critical for our relationship.
Even the number of times too where we would pull out our boundaries as some of our friends were starting to date too. We would pull out our boundaries and share them with other friends, because they would kind of just ask how did we stay pure, what did our dating life look like, right? So it was also a tool that we could just pass along to friends and other people as they were starting to get into some more serious relationships as well. But dating was fun. We've had lots of stories, lots of fun times, accidents. Yeah, that's it.
I think, can I go?
Of course.
I think marriage, I don't know if I knew this when we first got married, but I think the longer we've been married, I've learned that our marriage should be a picture of Christ and his bride. And I think when we think on that, it changes your perspective to a more selfless marriage and just striving to put the other person first. So I think I try to think of it that way.
It doesn't always look like that.
No, definitely not.
Yeah, marriage is, I think it's a great example when you kind of walk with somebody through the thick and the thin of life, right? We don't always get along or agree, but we know that our marriage is solid in Christ, that if we continue to focus on Him, we can get through it. But it's when we try to do things on our own that we often look back the past week or the past little bit where it's like, oh man, we are not seeing eye to eye, we're frustrated, and it usually comes back to us being selfish more than selfless, right? So.
Yeah, we've had to learn definitely in the last few years to see how we see situations differently, and it's hard sometimes to put yourself in the other person's perspective, especially really early. I mean, we're still only 9 years into marriage, but I can see a big maturity even since the beginning in an ability to see. Curtis and I have very different personalities, as most people do. So we've had to learn to see things. Our priorities are different. To Curtis, relationships are the most important thing. So when he's making a decision, the most important factor is that he's not hurting anybody or offending anybody. And that's a really good thing, but at times, it can be frustrating when I don't see. I'm a much more black and white, logical thinker in some ways. So sometimes it's frustrating, but learning to see that as a positive attribute instead of a negative has been really important. One thing we started in the past 2 years with lots of restrictions and things, we've gotten a lot more diligent with date nights. It used to be something we really strived to do, but we have 4 children now, and finding the time and getting a babysitter can be really expensive, all those things. But with all the lockdowns, we kind of had no option but to do date night ins for a period, and that actually has been a really great habit, I think.
Yeah.
That's stuck. So now Wednesday nights, we try really hard to make that our date night in, and sometimes we get takeout or something, but often we just like make a treat or watch a show or whatever.
We treat many nights, not just Wednesdays.
That's true. But
We
it's
love
more
treats.
so intentionally we try not to book other things those evenings.
Yeah, protecting our time.
Yeah, trying to
Right.
make it a priority. And I think that's been really good. And it's become something I know I look forward to. If we have a really busy week, I know, Wednesday night we have time to just hang out. So that's been really good.
How do we fight? Well, generally Kristi knows I'm not happy if I just go silent. And that's how I fight.
Yeah, Curtis likes to bottle things up. So usually I'll just notice that he's really quiet. And then I have to pry it out of him what the issue. And then weeks and months of frustrations come pouring out, whether they're at me or at other people.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen very often though, because he does bottle it up. How do we fight? I think that for a long time we didn't fight much at all. But in the past couple years, it's become more frequent.
Yeah. We try not to go to bed angry at each other. That was one thing that we were told early on in even dating. Like if we were arguing or disagreeing on something, we would typically resolve that conflict before we left each other for the night.
Well, it's actually in the Bible. Don't let the sun go down on your anger.
That's probably. That's
So
right.
we definitely take that to heart, and I can't think of many times where we've broken that.
I don't know if we fight well, maybe we do,
I think,
but just open communication.
Communication I think is key, and trying to see things from the other person's perspective has been key as much as possible. And actually, we were given really good advice only a few months ago from a friend, and she said, when we were wrestling through an issue that we disagreed on and trying to and it wasn't something we were able to really resolve that day. It kind of was ongoing, trying to work through some things. And she said one way to wrestle well or fight well, or however you worded it, to remember to keep close proximity. She said when you're disagreeing, the further apart you are, the you just feel more disconnected. And she said when you can get physically close, it just helps break down that feeling of loneliness or feeling like you're on different pages. And I actually feel like it's really helped. I think it sounds cliche probably for Christians, but I think we really have tried, both of us, to seek the Lord first and put God first in our own personal lives. And I know we heard, probably lots of people have heard the sermon where you're like a triangle, and if you're each seeking God together, naturally you get closer as well. And I think that's definitely been true. We've both had ups and downs in our own faith journeys, and there's times where you're seeking hard after God and times where you're busy with other things. But I think we try to encourage each other to continue in that. And we've also, this is actually super important, sorry I'm talking a lot, having other godly couples in your life, both like at the same stage of life and also people a couple years, 5, 10, 20 years ahead of you that you can look to for advice and wisdom.
Well, finding things to do together as a family. Often Kristi and I, it was easy when we were first married without kids. We would go for bike rides and go for walks, and as kids came along we realized that we need to still do those things. So we played volleyball together, and then that was great. It was just something that we could go out and spend time together. And yeah, like the other day we went to shovel and snow blow someone's driveway, and I was just gonna go do it, and Kristi said, I like doing things together. So we packed up all the kids, and the kids went over and they shoveled and blew the driveway. But just making intentional time to actually go and be together as a family makes it a lot more enjoyable, a lot better, and it's more fun when we can do it all and serve together. Probably folding the laundry because your wife doesn't like to. That's one thing she really doesn't like to. So I fold the laundry. Sometimes. I was a lot better at it before we had kids. But my goal is one day.
No laundry back then.
Yeah, my goal is one day to get the kids to fold the laundry. Sacrificial love, just going out of the way to make it known to Kristi that I really appreciate her and love her. I think one of the best things that I found out about Kristi is just how she accepts love, right? We did a little study, and Kristi's very much receives love through words of affirmation. So just making sure I let her know if she makes a great meal, that I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I think the love languages are definitely, that's a good advice for sacrificial love, because I think sometimes you don't realize how much that means to the other person. And then I think through communicating as well, if there's something, I'll say to her, it really means a lot to me if you
get up with the kids on Saturday morning.
Yes. That's like the ultimate. And I know that for him, physical touch is very important. But going out of your way to do those things, because sometimes they don't come naturally. So you have to learn that. I think that's the beauty of marriage is, I think it gets better and better every year.
And I think too, doing those things without the expectation of something in return, right?
Yeah.
That's a key part, because it doesn't really work out very well if you do it and then expect something in return back.
Right.
Right. So it's kind of the sacrifice part.